Let's start this show with the greatest mysteries entering the 2023 National Football League season that starts 1 week from Thursday. How about that? We're right there. We're right on the doorstep.
So close.
So many mysteries we're going to get the answers to.
Mama, we made it.
What will the new Ravens offense look like? It's one of them. It's one of the mysteries, right? Odell Beckham Jr. slated to be on tomorrow's program. We'll get the information straight from OBJ best we can.
Friend of the show.
We also are wondering the Jets. The whole Aaron Rodgers gambit.
You're wondering.
The rest of the world is wondering, pal.
I know how it ends.
You know it's the number one story entering the National Football League season.
Yeah, probably.
It is. You got the Cowboys and what's going on with them this year. By the way, I heard.
You heard?
How about me breaking news here? I heard. My sources tell me Mike McCarthy did know about the trade. And he's just not going to sit there and push back on the narrative right now because that's not. Mike doesn't push back on narratives. But he did know about the trade, and he did actually call Dak and Will Grier to let him know about it.
Interesting.
So he was in on it.
That sounded so weird, Rich.
That said, what's going to happen with the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, I could go on and on and on, right? Brock Purdy. How will he look coming back from the wing surgery? Can the Eagles bounce back, right? It's another one. The Buffalo Bills. I mean, questions everywhere, and including one of the greatest new mysteries of this NFL season. Is it going to be Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune starting for the Arizona Cardinals? We are on the edge of our seats.
Could be me.
The Washington Commanders are starting against the Arizona Cardinals. This big season for them. That's a big question. How will Sam Howell look in week one? That's a big mystery. But you do not want to give Jack Del Rio and his defensive staff a heads up on whether or not to prepare for a guy that the team just acquired 5 days ago in Josh Dobbs or a fifth-round pick out of Houston in this past year's draft, a fresh raw rookie in Clayton Tune. Don't give Jack Del Rio that heads up. Jonathan Gannon, the new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, will not do that. When he was speaking to the media yesterday after the, I would say, surprising release of Colt McCoy, the veteran presence that was there for the Arizona Cardinals, and a guy that has started admirably in the last couple years when Kyler Murray couldn't answer the bell. But we're not, by the way, in practice. We're not seeing Colt McCoy. True. We don't know how good Clayton Tune looks. We don't know how Colt McCoy has been looking. And they might be like, we're not going to do that. That's not what we're doing. We'll have him there for the veteran presence for the kid in Clayton Tune and be there as a veteran presence, but we're not going to hold on to him for performance issues. Mm-hmm. Giving benefits and doubts.
Right. Look, Rich, I know you get mad when Brockman says teams are going to tank or something.
Well, we're not.
I understand that, and you say they're not, but this sounds to me like a white flag.
We're not there yet. Hold on a minute. Here is Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, when asked, all right, if not Colt, is it really the new guy? And Josh Dobbs, you just traded for him as of yesterday, 4 days ago. You're going to start him? Clayton Tune, fifth-round selection out of Houston, who's never had a snap in his NFL career.
It's a great name.
In a regular season game. You're going to go with him. That was the question, essentially, of Jonathan Gannon, and here's his response.
When could it go until the end of next week before you decide who the starting quarterback?
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good plan in place, but I want to see them, both go through the next 2 weeks. But I think that how the plan that we have to evaluate that and to get that done and the team knowing the why behind it, I think they're comfortable with it, but feel good about where it's at. I'm not going to name a starter because I think it's a competitive advantage for us going to Washington, but we'll know who the starter is.
Rich, he's just looking to avoid a dust-up.
Good one.
You know what I mean?
You're a couple months early for that.
This is, the fruit's hanging low, and I've plucked it enough here in the first 9 minutes of this program.
Was it tasty?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he was kind of even, he was barely keeping a straight face about a competitive advantage. Here's the scoop. here's the scoop. Josh Dobbs has got to be sitting there saying, I'm getting another start potentially. That's pretty wild. I'm sitting there in Cleveland thinking I'm holding a clipboard for Deshaun Watson. Now all of a sudden I'm the one out there for the Arizona Cardinals week 1 against the Washington Commanders. I got to get my head in the playbook. And he's probably like, after last year, I started a week 18 game, do or die for the Tennessee Titans 3 weeks after they got me off the practice squad.
True.
So can I maybe start a game where, I don't have to cram for it? And Trey Lance is sitting there going, You're what? You're what? What are you saying? Because I'd love that start.
I could have been there.
But be that as it may, I'll tell you what they're thinking in Arizona. Personally, they are thinking that this season is not going anywhere. They won't tell you that. They won't. Jonathan Gannon is a proud man. He took this job for a reason. The front office, I think, has done a terrific job in pruning this roster while also preparing it for the future. They have done a really good job. But when you take DeAndre Hopkins and you send him packing, and Isaiah Simmons, you send him packing for a bag of donuts, and you start making trades in the draft where you've now got what I think every Houston Texans draft choice from here to kingdom come now, and you're preparing for the future, and your guy, technically, by the way, if you look at the Cardinals depth chart, Kyler Murray's number 1 on it because he's on the PUP list. He's going to miss the first 4 weeks of this season at the very least, and they're very 4 difficult games for him that they are sitting there thinking, this may not be the year. This is a year for Jonathan Gannon to put his stamp on things about the way he wants it done. That's what this year is about. It's about the culture change there. This is his culture he's bringing, and, he's going to put his stamp on it. But you take a look at starting, and I'm sure they will push back on that notion publicly and even privately. Get out of here. We got some good players here. We got a great plan in place, so on and so forth. But you cannot tell me in the National Football League you are going to walk into a season 10 days before, and cut the most veteran hand you've got at quarterback and choose between starting. This is your plan. This has been your plan all along. You know Kyler Murray's not starting the season. You know it. We've known it pretty much since he blew out his knee in the middle of last season, deep into last season. So your plan is to start either somebody you just picked up from another team or a raw rookie, which leads me to believe they're going to start the rookie.
Ooh.
Now, that's my 2 cents.
That makes sense.
Because the kid's been in your program. He's been there. You've seen him. And maybe they're just rolling the dice that he's your next Brock Purdy. What do I mean by that? Take a look at Clayton Tune's career numbers in Houston. 47 games played. Do you know how many Purdy played in Iowa State? 48. Tune was a 2-year starter there for 5 years. Purdy, a 3-year starter. He's 23, Purdy. Tune is 24. These are grown-ass men. 1,498 attempts for Clayton Tune for 11,989 yards. Purdy's numbers, 1,467 attempts for 12,170 yards. The same amount of experience. I think they're starting the kid. Now, competitive advantage or not, that's the issue. And I love that he's sitting there talking about competitive advantages when we're all wondering, you're removing your competitive advantage of having usable, winnable players. And you're plucking one after another while Kyler Murray may not come back sooner rather than later. And this is when I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it as much now. October is when the rubber meets the road. What's their record middle of October, and what's the conversation about bringing Kyler Murray back going to be? And what's going to be their stance at the trade deadline? Do they prune the roster of a couple more? Does James Conner get flipped somewhere for a team that might need a running back? If there's not 15 really good running backs sit in ATC because that's the way running backs are treated right now. By the way, Kareem Hunt and Leonard Fournette are still ATC.
Yeah. Still just hanging.
And Jonathan Taylor has his deadline day today.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's up. I'm just throwing names out there of people that they might flip to another team. Unless Clayton Tune shows up, looks like Purdy, and all of a sudden Kyler Murray isn't Josh Rosen, he's Trey Lance. He's not Josh Rosen for Kyler Williams, he's Trey Lance for Clayton Tune. Unless Kyler Murray does come back week 4 and looks like Kyler Murray, and this team can actually start winning and flipping the red bird, back to everybody else who thinks they're tanking. What a fascinating story. I didn't think was going to happen coming into this season. I mean, we saw how it was potentially gathering steam, but to cut their best veteran at the position just before the season and say, you know what? We knew Kyler wasn't starting all year. 10 days before, what are we going to do? We'll choose between a guy who just joined us and a kid who's never played. Let's go to work. Oh, and whichever quarterback that we choose, because we're trying to maintain a competitive advantage through the secret, won't have DeAndre Hopkins. Hollywood Brown must be sitting there going, where's Lamar? You know? What happened here? Zach Ertz is looking around for Nick Foles, who's not walking through that door. You know what I mean? Like, this is a wild situation in the NFC West. Pretty deep pool. As the Niners look like the Niners, Seattle looks like the Seahawks are better. And Matthew Stafford's trying to get the youngins off their phone so he can see their face, so he can look at his lookbook to know who they are. That's a very
Lookbook?
quick boiling down of the Rams situation. Wild, man. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.